Discover 7 spine-chilling tales of haunted night drives exposed. Sinister secrets revealed. Claire had always thought of Millwood as her fortress, a suburban oasis wrapped in the safety of routine and routine people. But as she clocked out of her late-night shift at the grocery store, that warmth melted away, replaced by a bone-chilling chill. It was like stepping into another world, where the shadows twisted into strangers and whispers skittered just out of reach. She gripped her keys tightly, the clink against her palm resonating like a countdown. The hum of the evening air began to echo with an unsettling timbre, each gust a warning. She slid into her aging car, reassuring herself that this was just another drive home. But with each turn down the familiar streets, the atmosphere seemed to darken. The streetlights flickered in and out like some old horror movie, nothing more than a false promise of safety. As she drove, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The houses loomed, their windows dark and empty, but somehow, they felt alive, observing her every move. Then came the low groan of her engine sputtering under strain. Panic washed over her as the dashboard flashed warnings, highlighting her worst fears. She was running out of gas. Her car heaved one last time before it choked and died on a desolate stretch of road, far from home, far from help. Great, she muttered. The weight of her worries suddenly felt heavier. The silence was deafening, the kind that creeps under your skin. She stepped out, her heart pounding like a war drum. The air was thick with tension and dread. Was that a whisper? Her breath caught, and she twisted, scanning the darkened tree line. Nothing moved, yet shadows lengthened, inching closer. Just as she turned back to her car, headlights sliced through the gloom. Relief surged until she saw the figure standing by the roadside. For a split second, it was nothing but a silhouette, a person, yet not quite, with features lost in the void. Every story of Millwood's folktales flooded her mind, the locals exchanging tales of the night. Yet nothing could prepare her for the turmoil rippling through her now, an overwhelming suspicion that the town she loved and defended held darker secrets. As her phone buzzed softly in her pocket, she fumbled it out. The screen illuminated the unknown number blinking back, like a warning sign. You shouldn't have driven out here at night. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. A shiver ran up her spine as the figure stepped closer, the edges of shadows bending like claws reaching for her. Panic surged again, and she stumbled backward toward her car. Her mind raced. Should she call for help or try to restart the engine? As the footsteps drew nearer, Claire felt the dampness of sweat on her palms, her body tightening with instinctual dread. The figure loomed larger, the smirk widening as though it feasted on her fear. She caught her breath, fighting the urge to flee. The comforting suburban expanse had morphed into a trap. Was anybody else aware of the lurking danger? Whispers threaded through the air, intertwining her fate with the worst of Millwood's lingering tales. With nowhere to turn, she knew one truth: she was not alone, and that darkness held far more than just secrets. The figure advanced, details sharpening as the headlights illuminated the scene. It stood in a tattered coat, hands shoved deep into pockets as if to stave off both the chill and a deeper, unknowable dread. Claire squinted, fighting the urge to scream or bolt. "Who are you?" she croaked, her voice barely a whisper. "Just a traveler. Like you," it replied, the voice grating against her ears like nails on a chalkboard. It took another step forward, its shadow colliding with her own, creating a moment of confusion as if they were one. "Get back," Claire shouted, her heart racing violently in her chest. All the stories of reckless teens disappearing echoed in her thoughts, a jigsaw puzzle of dread fitting together behind her eyes. "Calm down. I mean no harm," the figure insisted, crooking a twisted smile that revealed teeth too white, too perfect for the darkness. "Just passing through and curious." She backed away, searching for some refuge in her stranded car, praying it would start if she tried. Was he a part of one of those cursed tales? One of the ghosts lingering in Millwood? "Nothing will save you now," he said softly, almost tenderly, as if he read her mind. Laughter bubbled beneath the surface, unsettling and echoing, like a distant storm. She turned and sprinted back to the driver's side, fumbling with her keys as another burst of laughter rang out. The sound echoed down the deserted road, an ominous reminder of her isolation and his looming presence. Just when she thought she might find safety, the car door wouldn't budge. Her fingers trembled, the metallic chill sending shockwaves through her body as the laughter intensified. "Really, Claire? It's not that easy. You've crossed invisible lines tonight. What are you talking about?" she shouted, adrenaline coursing through her veins. The figure stepped closer again, so close the scent of damp earth and something rotten enveloped her. "Every night is a ritual in Millwood. People like you, they come out, daring the night, but tonight isn't like any other." A rush of wind howled, rattling branches and scattering leaves like dry whispers against glass. Claire felt the world shift, the ground beneath her trembling with an impending weight. "Get away from me," she screamed, desperation clawing at her throat. "Can't you see?" The figure's voice dripped with mockery. "This is where the stories live. Those lost years of fear, they come alive in the dark. You tread on sacred ground, Claire. They're summoning you." In that moment, the air turned electric, and her breath caught again. Shadows, once mere representations of objects, stretched and twisted into grotesque shapes, crawling from the edges of the road and surrounding her. They were beasts woven from the fabric of Millwood's lore. She could hear the voices now, a chorus of whispers mingled with her own frantic heartbeat. They spoke of lost souls, of those who had dared drive those same streets after dark. "They're not your friends," the figure hissed, glancing around as if expecting something to emerge from those menacing shadows. Claire's heart thundered in her chest as she finally managed to wrench the door open. She leapt inside, slamming it shut behind her. But the figures outside had multiplied now, mere silhouettes merging with the night. The darkness pressed against the glass like angry hands reaching for her escape. The engine sputtered to a start, each cough and splutter a promise of her fate. With shaky hands, she shifted into drive. But just as she backed away, the figure raised a hand, a gesture of calm that sent a chill down her spine. "Where do you think you're going?" it called, the smile now morphing into something that sent ice through her veins. The night stretched out before her, a winding road into deeper darkness. But escaping Millwood was no simple task because the nightmares had just begun to wake. What would she do now? As she turned onto the road, every flickering light seemed to whisper warnings. Was it really just the night, or was something more watching, waiting, ready to drag her into the abyss? Claire gripped the steering wheel tight, knuckles whitening as the road unfurled beneath her. The shadows clung close, licking at the edges of her mind, urging her to look back, but she couldn't afford to do that. The figure loomed larger than life behind her, a malevolent spirit woven into the fabric of the night. With a sharp intake of breath, she pressed the accelerator, willing the car to go faster. The headlights carved a small path through the darkness, and she could see trees bending in the wind, their gnarled branches reaching towards her like skeletal fingers. Every bump and dip in the asphalt made her heart jump, as if the road itself were alive and hungry for her fear. "Just keep driving," she muttered to herself, the sound of her own voice barely breaking the suffocating silence. But even those words felt hollow. Every moment spent on this cursed road was a moment closer to whatever had awoken in Millwood. Night swallowed her whole, and the speedometer needle began to creep higher, adrenaline pulsing through her veins like wildfire. In the distance, she spotted the faint glow of a town. Hope flickered briefly in her heart, but was swiftly extinguished by the laughter that echoed around her, a perverse harmony interlaced with the whispering shadows. "Can't escape," echoed through her mind, mingling with the wind. But was it the figure? Was he playing games from the darkness? Or were they the voices of those who had come before her, now trapped in this nightmare? Just as she thought she could see the outlines of buildings, headlights appeared in her rearview mirror. A pair of glowing orbs that grew larger, faster. It was a truck, barreling towards her with reckless speed. Claire's stomach dropped. Would they help her? Or were they part of this twisted game? Turning sharply, she thought of swerving to the side to let the truck pass. But as she glanced nervously in the mirror, the truck driver's face changed, twisting into something grotesque and inhuman. Panic surged through her. She slammed the brakes, skidding along the gravel. "Keep going." A voice screamed inside her head. The shadows shifted, creeping closer, as if urging her to step out of the car. Suddenly, the truck veered off the road, and Claire barely managed to regain control. When she looked up, the familiar figures lined the roadside. Faces she thought she recognized, contorted in pain and anguish. Their hollow eyes bored into her soul. This was a trap. All at once, a deafening noise crashed through the air, a mix of roaring engines and vengeful screams, spiraling around her like a cyclone. The world spun as if reality itself was unraveling before her eyes. The trees shook violently in response, their leaves rustling like frantic whispers. "Do you see them?" A soft voice cooed, chilled her to the bone. "They're waiting for you, Claire." Mustering every ounce of strength, she thrust the gear into reverse, pulling away from the gathering storm of shadows and ghosts. Her car swung around, heart racing, adrenaline surging. She flew down the road without a plan, leaving the haunted vision behind. But in that split second of distraction, she felt something brush against her arm, a cold, clammy hand snaking into her window, grasping her with a grip as tight as her fear. With a scream trapped in her throat, Claire struggled, pulling away from its grasp while the engine sputtered. She was no longer in charge. "Let go. Let me go," she cried, heart hammering louder than ever. Just then, the car lights flickered, casting an otherworldly glow over everything. A figure stepped into the light, its face obscured but unmistakably familiar, the same figure from before. But now it stood upon a hill, its laughter echoing all around. "Did you really think you could escape?" it taunted, as the hands pulled her deeper into the night. Her breath caught, the car losing speed as fear choked her. It wasn't just escaping the shadows. It was what waited for her beyond them. What awaited her on this road? The realization settled like lead in her stomach. There were things waiting to drag her back into their depths, and one terrifying truth: she might already belong to the night. The hand that clasped Claire's arm was ice cold and felt like a vice, pulling her deeper into an abyss of despair. Every instinct screamed for her to fight, but energy drained from her limbs like the fading light of her headlights. The world around her dimmed, as darkness infiltrated every crack and crevice. "Why are you doing this?" she gasped, her voice a desperate whisper swallowed by the night. The cloaked figure leaned closer, obscured by shadows. Claire could almost see the outline of a smile on its lips. "You know why, don't you?" it crooned with the sweetness of poison. "Your fear feeds them." Panic surged anew, jolting her senses. "No, I won't let it," she cried, forcing her foot onto the accelerator. The car sputtered, threatening to stall. The figure wrenched her door ajar, slamming it against the frame with enough force to rattle her bones. In that moment, Claire knew she had to make a choice: stay and fight or break free. Mustering every ounce of will, she pushed the accelerator pedal down hard. The engine roared to life, and with a jolt, the car lurched forward, inching away from the whispering chaos behind her. But the shadows chased after her, latching themselves onto her soul. The road twisted ahead, like a snake coiling back on itself. Trees loomed, their jagged branches clawing at her windows, their leaves rustling with secrets. Each turn felt like she was spiraling further into her worst nightmare. The headlights cut through nothing but swirling blackness, a suffocating blanket that promised only despair. Her heart thundered, matching the deafening thump in her ears as she fought to stay calm. "Just get to the town," she urged herself. "Find someone." She pushed the gas even harder, praying the car wouldn't fail her now. Then suddenly, a flicker of light caught her eye: a roadside diner, its neon sign flickering like a beacon in the storm. Relief washed over her like a cool breeze. The familiar warmth of human presence beckoned, and she dove towards it. But as she pulled into the crowded lot, hope quickly morphed into a chilling realization. The diner was filled with familiar faces, their eyes hollow, haunted by something Claire could not understand. They stared, mouths twisted into silent screams. Their forms half flickered in and out of existence, as if they were mere echoes. An unsettling feeling gripped her. Something wasn't right. The figure that had clawed at her car materialized at the edge of the parking lot, shadows swirling around it like a macabre cloak. "They can't help you," it hissed, laughter laced with malice pouring from its lips. "You wanted to be free of the night. But the night is part of you now." Claire's breath stalled. All thoughts of escape faded. The shadows of the diner's patrons draped over her like a thick fog, closing in. Faces she had known, friends from the past, their eyes wide with understanding and dread. They knew the truth as she stepped out of the car. Their mouths moved in sync, whispering one single word. Run. The air chilled around her, and that command sank deep into her bones. Fear coursed through her, but before she could act, the figure took a step forward. "You can't run from what's inside you," it sneered. "You belong to the dark." A high-pitched cry escaped Clara's throat, and she turned to flee, but the night had begun to thrall her senses. The diner's lights flickered violently, the ground beneath her feet trembling. As walls creaked and shadows smiled, she felt the call of the night wrapping around her like a lover's embrace. What would she do? Fight or succumb? Hope or despair? Claire's feet propelled her forward, deeper into the night, the sounds of the diner fading, leaving only a ringing silence. Was it the calm before the storm? Or was it finally the quiet within her own darkness? Did she truly belong to the night? The question loomed heavy as she vanished into the shadows. The darkness wrapped around Claire as she stumbled deeper into the woods, plants clawing at her clothes and shoes. Each step felt heavier than the last, her breath hitching as panic clawed at her throat. The cold air sliced through her lungs, amplifying her fear. She could still hear the echo of their voices. Run, run, but run where? Her mind raced while her eyes darted, searching for any spark of light, any glimpse of salvation. The trees seemed alive, their gnarled limbs reaching out to snag her, twisting into grotesque shapes. It felt as though they were part of the darkness, hungry and waiting. Then came the whisper, soft, almost tender. "Come back, Claire." She froze. The chill that ran down her spine was unlike anything she had ever felt. It was familiar yet foreign. It beckoned her, drawing her closer, urging her to take another step into the void. She shook her head violently, tears streaming down her cheeks as she fought against its allure. "No, I'm not yours," she yelled, her voice breaking, swallowed by the thick air. But the whisper grew louder, twisting around her thoughts. "You can't escape what you are. You want to be free of the night, yet you crave it." Suddenly, vision blurred, and she faltered. She stumbled, falling against the bark of a twisted oak as her legs buckled. Heart racing, she gasped for control. What did it mean? What did she crave? As she steadied herself, the shadows began to swirl, dancing just out of her sight. A clamor of whispers followed, faint but insistent. The words intermingled with her memory's happy days. Laughter, joy only to fade, replaced by the hushed tones of despair and desolation. Something was wrong. The laughter she longed for was tainted, her friends and family lost to the depths of grief. It wasn't a memory she recalled. It was a reflection twisted by a dark haze. Hadn't she seen their faces at the diner? They hadn't been present, they were trapped. Trapped like her. Claire's blood ran cold. In her desperate urge to escape, had she unwittingly followed the shadows into their realm? The night was shifting, the very ground beneath her alive with anticipation. There was no mercy here, only shadows hungry to feed. She forced herself upright, driven by a new sense of survival. The whispering grew frantic, urging her to submit, but something inside her flared an ember of defiance. "What do you want from me?" she shouted into the night, her voice echoing through the trees. The darkness answered with laughter. a cacophony that reverberated all around her. "We want you to remember then." The frustrations turned to realization, a sharp pang cutting through the confusion. The faces she feared were only reflections of her own shadow. She had buried them, afraid to confront her past. What if facing the memories was the key to breaking free? But before she could dive deeper into this thought, a snarl split the night, a creature emerging from the blackness, eyes glowing like embers. It moved with animalistic grace, its features shrouded in darkness. Fear gripped her again, and she turned, desperate for an escape. The figures of her past beckoned again, pleading her to leave. Yet, another part of her wanted to confront this creature and learn the truth. "Decide, Claire, or risk everything you've ever known." She hesitated, caught in a web of conflicting instincts. Would confronting the shadow uncover her memories, or cause her to lose everything entirely? As she stood there, the creature loomed closer, and the night held its breath. The creature's growl rattled through the stillness, a sound so primal that Claire could feel it vibrating in her chest. The eyes that glowed like embers drew closer, drilling into her with a hunger that sent a new wave of terror coursing through her veins. She wanted to scream, but the sound caught in her throat like a thorn, forcing her to swallow hard. Claire had hissed her name as if it were a forbidden secret. Panic clawed at her more viciously now. The shadows around her thickened, as if the forest itself was leaning in, pressing against her. The voices were loud now, swirling confusion mixing with sinister intent. "Come to us. Remember what?" She yearned for clarity, to break free from this chaos. But the creature advanced, its shadowy body slinking through the dark, an embodiment of her fears. She had to make a choice. Frozen, she glanced at the fleeting glimpses of familiar faces flitting between the trees, eyes wide with a silent plea. They were there, reaching out, but were they real? Or were they just specters conjured by her mind? The creature lunged. Claire sprang to the side, adrenaline ripping through her. She darted to the left, twisting through the underbrush, heart pounding. Briars snagged at her, tearing through her skin, but she pushed through, refusing to look back. The night was alive with chaos, the rustling of leaves, the cacophony of distant howls, and behind it all, that haunting whisper. "Stop running," she faltered. The whisper, smooth and enticing, threaded through her thoughts. What if running away was the worst choice? The truth clawing at her was embedded in those memories she tried to bury. Her family, friends, the love they once shared before darkness clouded everything. Switched gears in her mind. Perhaps if she faced this creature, she could glean answers hidden among the shadows. "Stay away," she shouted, surprising even herself. The defiance in her voice echoed, hanging heavy in the air. But the growl returned, low and menacing, making her blood run cold. "I'm not afraid of you." She was surprised at her own resolve. The creature stopped, tilting its head. For a heartbeat, the shadows receded slightly, allowing her to catch a glimpse of its features, a facade of shifting darkness, like a memory that refused to be fully formed. "Then face what lies within," it rumbled, its words curdling the air, with newfound determination igniting within her. Claire stepped forward, fighting against the pull of the darkness. "Let them go. You want me? Then what do you want from me?" Silence enveloped them, thick as the night itself. The silence grew unbearable, stretching out endlessly, until the creature's eyes flared brighter, casting eerie shadows that danced upon the trees. "Do you truly wish to know?" A chill enveloped Claire. What would knowing cost her? Would confronting her buried past cast her deeper into this abyss, or could it set her free? With her heart racing, she took a deep breath, her voice trembling but steady. "Yes, I want the truth." The creature shifted impossibly closer now. Its breath was a caustic mix of leaves and decay, swirling around her. "Then you must go deeper into the woods." Just then, the earth trembled beneath her feet, and a rumble echoed from the depths of the forest. The ground split open, revealing a dark chasm, whispering secrets that beckoned her to leap into the void. The choice loomed before her, heavier than the night. The shadows writhed, and the whispering surged, Claire remembered everything felt like it was spiraling. Where would this decision take her? Would it be her salvation or her doom? As she stared into the darkness below, the creature and the shadows seemed to vibrate with anticipation. Make your choice, Claire, and with that, the ground quaked again, sending stones flying. With the shadows closing in, Claire took a deep breath, her destiny hanging on the edge of a knife. The chasm gaped wide, swallowing light and hope. Claire felt something primal deep inside her, the instinct to survive. The creature's breath hung thick in the air, foul and ancient. It was an invitation to step closer to the grave secrets of her past. Face the truth, it taunted, voice trembling the very leaves around them. She glanced at the shifting darkness below, that abyss promising understanding yet filled with dread. What truth could possibly wait for her? Each heartbeat thundered, echoing in her ears. She couldn't turn back. The memories, whatever they were, had the power to set her free or destroy her completely. The air thickened, weighing her down. I want to know. The words burst from her lips, a rallying cry against the consuming panic. With a sudden rush, she edged toward the gaping maw of the chasm. It was like staring into a grave. The unknown tugged at her resolve, luring her in. Remember your past, the creature hissed, its form shifting fluidly as it tried to step toward her. Yet the shadows rippled and parted. Claire. The sound shattered her focus. The familiar voice pierced through the darkness like a lifeline, and she spun around. Couldn't it be? Could it? A figure emerged, bathed in the pale light of the crescent moon. Jess, her childhood friend, stood just beyond the reach of the creature. Fear and relief mingled together. You have to fight it. It's all a lie. The urgency in Jess's voice ignited something in Claire, a burst of remembrance, vivid and striking, of happier times, laughter, and carefree evenings spent exploring woods. Jess, why are you here? Trust me. This thing, it feeds on your fear. It wants you to forget. Don't let it win. The creature's growl deepened, resonating in the ground beneath them. A warning tremor. Come, Claire. Come back, Jess urged, desperation lining her voice. What's down there? Claire dared to ask, heart racing as she edged closer to the edge. The truth, but it's twisted. You have to confront it, not dive into it. Jess shouted, hands outstretched as if she could pull Claire away from the brink. The shadows danced with agony and laughter, whispering their menace. Let it go. Embrace your destiny. But Claire hesitated. Panic gripped at her throat. It's too much. What if I lose myself? Don't listen. Jess yelled again. But the shadows pulsed like a living thing, and the darkness beckoned Claire with violent elegance. Claire felt her legs tremble. How could she choose between the truth and the familiar warmth of friendship? Reality twisted like smoke. Just then, from the depths of the chasm, a shriek echoed, a sound like all her fears made manifest. A pitiful wail that resonated deep within her soul. Claire, the creature urged, what will you become? She was losing control, the shadows morphing into figures from her past, each oozing nostalgia and regret. Faces she had thought long forgotten turned into grotesque distortions, taunting her with laughter hollow as the grave. With each second weighing down like heavy chains, Claire felt the pull of the abyss against her very core. Would she step back to the light, or would she plunge headfirst into the darkness, bearing witness to what haunted her? Choose now. The creature's growl escalated as the chasm screamed, and in that very moment, a last shred of defiance ignited inside her. Stay back, Claire screamed, grasping the edges of her determination. But as she turned again to face Jess, the figure flickered, fading as if pressed against a glass wall, a sad reflection battling against the tides of despair. The shadows thickened, closing like a net, and the creature whispered, embrace your darkness. Clara's heart pounded with desperation. As the darkness enveloped her, a fragment of her childhood pierced through, just enough to wrestle with doubt. And as she battled internally, she heard the chasm groan beneath her feet, hungry for the answer, her answer. The shadows writhing in fury, the world teetering on the edge of annihilation. Your choice, Claire, but the choice had shifted, dangling precariously as she teetered on the brink of chaos. Would she finally confront what lay behind her? Or would she plunge down a path of no return? As the breath of the chasm brushed against her skin, Claire took a step, uncertainty swirling in her heart. Would the truth be her undoing? Claire. Jess's voice echoed in desperation, flickering amidst the shadows. What would it take for her to finally step forward and embrace the darkness within? The decision loomed, darker than the night her fate was yet to be sealed. The ground trembled violently beneath Claire. A raw, primal fear gripped her, as if the very earth was reminding her of the stakes. She was caught in a cosmic tug-of-war between light and dark, a cruel game orchestrated by a creature that thrived on despair. Claire. Jess's voice was fading, swallowed by the oppressive shadows. The sight of her friend flickering like a candle in a storm urged Claire to make a choice. But the truth was buried deep. Memory mixed with horror danced in front of her like a twisted mural of her life, a kaleidoscope of pain and joy, each moment tugging her in contradictory directions. Don't listen to it. Jess's voice surged back, cutting through the darkness like a knife. You have to remember who you are. Fight. Claire reeled back, clenching her fists. Fight what? This is too strong. Her voice trembled, a mixture of anger and fear boiling over like lava. The creature chuckled, a sound that echoed chillingly in the chasm. The truth is but a step away. All you need is to let go. The shadows writhed, whispering promises and threats. They transformed, shifting into forms that clawed at her mind. Faces that once brought warmth now conveying only torment. Each visage drew upon memories she had buried deep. The laughter of friends now fallen silent. The promises made under a blood-red sunset that never came to pass. Love turned to anguish. Claire. Jess's outcry became a shrill cry as the shadows began to close in, a moving wall of despair seeking to swallow her whole. Each second split like frail glass, splintering her resolve. Please come back to me. With a fierce breath, Claire took a step back from the edge. The ghostly figures surrounding her hissed and lunged, the darkness thickening like fog enveloping her senses, mixing fear with a tantalizing whisper of liberation. Let it go, the creature cooed. Embrace the truth that awaits. The past can be your power. Your power? Claire yelled back defiantly. Or your prison. Suddenly, a light flickered behind her eyes, those fleeting memories of laughter, of days when everything felt alive and bright. She thought of Jess, of every stolen laugh, every adventure. You can't have them, she shouted, raking her fingers through the darkness, tearing at the fabric of that fog. The air crackled around her, the shadows recoiling briefly from her defiance. The creature roared, furious now, the ground beneath shifting like a boiling cauldron. Foolish girl, you think you can deny your essence? Maybe I don't need to accept it, Claire shouted, finding strength in her rage. The more she fought back, the more vibrant the memories grew, lighting her heart like a torch against the night. I can face what I've done. I won't let you twist it. The chasm shook violently, the shadows seething in desperation. Figures leapt at her, and she felt the grip of the past clawing at her, painful yet familiar. She could see Jess's face struggling against the tide, anchored yet willing to fight for her. Hope seeped in, weaving through the fear like a thread of gold. Remember who you are. Claire. Jess cried out once more, her voice breaking through the haze of despair. Don't drown in the darkness. Suddenly, an unimaginable force surged within Claire. She stood firm, heart racing, and shouted, I won't let go. I won't drown. The shadows around her shrieked, recoiling from her fierce declaration, as the light of truth surged within her like a tidal wave. But as she began to push back, a chilling realization licked at her consciousness. The truth wasn't just waiting in the chasm. It was a living nightmare, one that demanded not just recognition, but acceptance. With a final scream, Claire focused on the light within, a raw fire growing stronger with every heartbeat. She stepped towards the darkness again, not to fall, but to confront it head-on. As she plunged deeper into the shadows, a blinding light lit up the abyss, and in an instant, that flickering hope, a glimmering thread of her buried past, was gone. The depths trembled as the chasm began to close like a giant mouth yawning widely, and Claire was swept into the void, dragged towards an unknown terror. Claire. Jess's figure vanished as darkness engulfed her. Was it too late now? Had she chosen to step into her own destruction? With every heartbeat echoing in the empty chasm, Claire felt the grip of something more profound than fear. It was a looming question, as shadows whispered around her. Do you have the courage to confront the monster within? Time stopped as she fell deeper, the light fading with her resolve. What lay ahead was only the beginning of her reckoning, a truth she may never escape. Claire fell, weightless in the void as the darkness gripped her from all sides. The chill seeped into her bones, wrapping around her like a cold embrace, draining the warmth of her defiance. Panic surged as she tumbled into an abyss where time and reason lost their meaning. Help me, Jess. Her voice echoed into the void, swallowed by the eerie stillness. Suddenly, she was jolted into an unfathomable reality. The darkness twisted, shifting forms embracing her, each a decade's worth of memories gone wrong. Faces she'd once loved morphed into twisted mockeries, eyes filled with sorrow or fury. Claire recoiled as they advanced, their whispers clawing at her sanity. Join us, Claire, they hissed, fangs of guilt and despair scraping against her thoughts. Get away from me, she screamed, the fire of her spirit refusing to flicker under the breath of shadows. Yet even she could feel the heaviness of their despair pulling her down. The chasm morphed, and she found herself standing in a dimly lit room, the lingering scent of damp wood and decay hanging in the air. She recognized it, her childhood bedroom. It was the sanctuary of her youth twisted into the shrine of her regrets. The wallpaper curled like a dying flower, and every corner felt alive with a sinister energy. A dusty mirror stood against the wall, and Claire felt the allure to approach. She was drawn to the reflection, a distorted image of herself staring back, void of emotion. What do you want from me? She whispered, her resolve flickering in the presence of that hollow gaze. Acceptance, the shadows whispered in unison, slithering around her ankles. All of it. The light, the dark, it's who you are, Claire. The ground beneath her melted into a dark tide, dragging her closer to the mirror. She struggled, but it felt as if the very fabric of her being was stitched to that cursed reflection. The memories battled within her, laughter from birthday parties drowned out by cries of loneliness in the night. Schoolyard friendships turned bitter. Faces of those she betrayed loomed larger, their disappointment etched in every line. Fight back, Claire. Jess's voice crackled through the haze, sharp as ice and strong as steel. You're not alone. In that moment, a jolt of warmth surged through her, the ghost of hope sparking within. Claire clenched her fists, feeling the weight of Jess's words wrap around her soul. She focused on the light, buried beneath layers of anguish. I am not just my pain, she shouted, her heart racing as she moved back from the mirror. I will not be defined by my failures. The room began to shake, shadows swirling like a tempest around her. The faces that once tormented her shifted, forming a wall of swirling despair. But Claire stood firm, grounding herself in the memories that mattered, the laughter that echoed, the dreams she had nurtured. She pushed against the tide with a fierce determination, channeling every ounce of anger and pain into a mighty roar. You will not claim me. With a deafening crack, the mirror shattered, sending shards of despair cascading down like threatening rain. Claire's heart pounded wildly, a drumbeat of determination as she emerged from the darkness. The shadows recoiled, screeching, as if the light of her acceptance was sunlight burning through the veils of night. But just as she thought she'd broken free, the walls of reality shifted again. An all-consuming darkness loomed, not just in the corners, but everywhere, more expansive than before. With growing dread, she faced it. What now? She muttered, catching her breath. A chilling laugh erupted from the depths of the void, sending shivers down her spine. You are far from finished, Claire. A choice awaits, but it won't be easy. Embrace your past or let it consume you. As the abyss closed in, Claire stared into the depths, knowing deep within that each step forward would plunge her deeper into a nightmarish reckoning. I'll face whatever comes, she shouted defiantly, but doubt crept in like the shadows that surrounded her. What price would she have to pay to truly know herself? As she surrendered to the blackness, questions clung to her, echoing in the confines of her mind. Can anyone truly escape their past, or is it forever shackled in the shadows? The darkness gave way to a flickering light, and Claire found herself suspended in a vast void that pulsed with energy. It felt alive, throbbing with the weight of memories begging to emerge as lost whispers. The realization hit her hard. To confront her past, she had to accept every piece, the joyful laughter filled with innocence and the agonizing guilt that haunted her nights. Remember who you are, Jess's voice echoed, clearer now. Nothing was easy, but she was done running. She focused inward, summoning every bit of strength hidden in her heart. With a deep breath, she channeled the memories that had intertwined with her fears, the friends she had ignored, the love she let slip away, the laughter that had faded into silence. Each memory flickered like shadows dancing on the blood-red horizon of her mind. The air shimmered as Claire stepped forward, shadowy figures swirling around her, growing restless, hungry for despair. "You can't have me," she cried, her voice drowning out the chaos. "I won't let you control my memories." The creature slinked in closer, its menacing growl vibrating through the fabric of space. "You think this defiance will save you? You are mine." "No," Claire shouted, summoning defiance from deep within. The fear that threatened to consume her felt like ice melting against a fire. "I'm reclaiming every piece of me you've tried to take." With each shout, the shadows hesitated as if recognizing their shrinking power. Light surged through the darkness, illuminating the faces of those she once feared. They hesitated at first, but then came the smiles, real delight shining through the fractured memories. Suddenly, it clicked. The past didn't have to be a chain. It could be her strength. "I remember you, not just in sorrow, but in joy," Claire said, pushing past the doubts bubbling inside. The creature shrieked, fury igniting within it. The ground shook violently, thunder rolling overhead. But she refused to turn away. "Leave me be. You have no power over my truth." A blinding flash erupted as the darkness faltered, retreating against the eruption of memories, reshaping her reality. Colors bloomed around her, the bright orange of summer sunsets, the green of meadows, the warmth of friendship regaining their vibrancy. Claire squeezed her eyes shut, envisioning all she had loved, all that had once given her hope. Love, acceptance, belonging, these were her truths. The shadows shrieked in reluctance, the faces of the past now shining brighter. They joined her chorus, chanting along with her, "Face us. Embrace what you need to heal." Each breath felt like a fire igniting her resolve. The darkness clawed, but with every moment, Claire stood tall. Maintaining her newfound control over her fate, she expanded the light. "I will face my pain. It belongs to me, not you." The shadowy figures began to dissolve, their fierce grasp loosening. The ground erupted into light, a blinding halo that enveloped her with warmth and strength. "Let go," a soothing voice cried, breaking through the chaos. "No," she roared, forcing the void-like air out of her lungs. It trembled beneath her, struggling against her will. "I will not let the darkness win." With an eruption of power that felt like the very heartbeat of the universe, she propelled herself forward, shattering illusions and layer upon layer of despair. The depths of the chasm trembled, the cries of the creature drowning in the wave of her acceptance. "I choose life. I choose hope." The echoes of her determination spiraled around her, and as she plunged into the light, shadows began to peel away, revealing clarity and warmth. Gradually, the void receded. The confrontation had become a distant memory, replaced by shimmering warmth. Claire opened her eyes, gasping for breath as she found herself beneath the moonlight filtering through treetops. The lingering eeriness of Millwood faded like wisps of fog, leaving trailing memories intact, but no longer oppressive. She looked around, the whispering shadows now merely traces of familiarity. Freedom rushed through her veins, each beat echoing hope and renewal. With newfound understanding, she took a step back toward the remnants of Millwood, every breath reminding her of the power within her, a fresh start fashioned in the fires of survival. Claire just stood there, fierce support glowing in her eyes, wrapping her arms tightly around Claire. "You made it." "I did," Claire said, tears streaming, laughter erupting like a river breaking through a dam. "I reclaimed myself. I know my past, and it will not own me." As they embraced, the air shifted, the whispers of the shadows fading into the calm night. Millwood stood behind them, a heavy tapestry of stories woven with loss and fear, but now offering truths of resilience. "Now what?" Claire whispered, glancing back toward the dark woods. "Now you share your story," Jess encouraged, her grin contagious. "Tell others about the nightmares and the hope. It's time to heal together." Together, they turned, the path lit by the glimmer of the new dawn breaking over Millwood, and for the first time, Claire felt utterly whole, ready to embrace what came next. Her heart beat steadily in her chest as she walked forward into the rise of a brand new day, never looking back. And remember, only by facing our darkest shadows can we emerge into the light. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and help others discover this journey. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. What did you think? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this powerful conclusion. Your support is everything.